my name is Catherine Bodley, and this is my low-tech assistive technology project. Assistive technology is anything that can assist someone to complete a task, and low-tech assistive technology are devices or equipment that don't require a ton of training, they're less expensive, and they're not super complex. The three things that I chose for my project are communication devices, raised lines on paper, and a picture schedule. So the first thing is a communication device. I chose two different kinds of communication devices that teachers could use in their classroom. The first is just a communication board. There's a program called BoardMaker that has a lot of picture icons that I personally have used quite a few times in different situations, and I know a lot of teachers use them. You can make things like this communication board that they just have different pictures and icons that a student who might be nonverbal could use to communicate with their teacher or whoever they're trying to talk to. So there's one example. Here's another example of just a simple communication board. So the student would just, if they wanted to tell you something, they might point to a picture on their communication board. They might, if you have like cutout icons that they could hand to you, that's another way for them to use communication icons and communication boards. Another kind of communication board is an eye gaze communication board. So basically the listener is standing on the other side. So this woman here is the listener. She's standing on the other side of a board, and someone who might be nonverbal, non-mobile, they can't really move to point to a picture or to hand you a picture, they might use an eye gaze communication board. So they, it takes a little bit more training, but it's still not extensive. The listener would just be watching the student, and they're going to, the student would just look at whatever picture that they're trying to communicate, and you would just, as the listener, you'd have to train the student and yourself to be able to communicate with each other. Communication boards would be used to assist with communication in general in the classroom if you have students who are nonverbal, or with the eye gaze chart, students who really can't move or do anything to communicate easier. So it would be used for that. It could be used at home, but I think it would be used more at school. And then the type of student that would use a communication board is a student that has difficulty in or the lack of ability to speak. And then again, with the eye gaze board, they might not be able to move very well. The second kind of assistive technology is raised lines on paper. You can either buy paper that when it's printed, the lines are raised a little bit like this. The red lines are raised on the paper, so when a student is writing, they would feel that line being raised so they would know to start or stop there. Another thing you can do is use pipe cleaners or wiki sticks, like this teacher did. This has a wiki stick on the baseline, so the student knows to stop when they get to the wiki stick. They also did a highlighted baseline, which is another option, but the thing I like about the raised lines is that students can actually feel when they need to start or stop. And that's actually something that I would like to use in the classroom that I work in now with both some of my special education students as well as regular education students who are just having difficulty mastering handwriting and staying in the lines. So basically how it works is when the student is writing, if they're having trouble staying in the lines of paper or they're just learning how to write, you have the wiki sticks that are at the top and the bottom of the line that you want them to write on, and so they know if they run their pencil into the top or the bottom, they need to stop, and they can't write above it or below it, and it just helps them stay more in the lines better, and it teaches them, eventually they'll know I can't go above the blue line even if there's not a wiki stick on it. The students that would be using this would be any student with the difficulty of being able to stay in their lines when writing. This would be used with students who are learning to write or just in writing time, even students who have been writing for a long time but they're still having difficulty with that. It would be used at school primarily in writing time and any time where you're writing. You know, students write on worksheets for reading, they write on worksheets for math, they obviously write during writing time. There's all kinds of times throughout the day that it could be used. It could also be used in OT sessions for students who are getting occupational therapy to get more help with learning how to do things like that. The third type of assistive technology that I chose is a picture schedule. And that is for students who have difficulty with transitions or get frustrated easily when they don't know what's coming. A picture schedule just helps them know what to expect a little better. And I've used a lot of picture schedules when I worked in an early childhood special education classroom. We had quite a few autistic students who we used the picture schedule with to keep their frustration down throughout the day. And it might look something like this. Again, you're using the Board Maker program to have pictures of what they might be doing. Here's another example of a morning routine. Again, you just have your pictures of your day. And then one that I used a lot when I was in early childhood was we used a Velcro picture schedule. So this was their day. Sorry, here on the left side was their day. And whenever they did something, they'd either take it off of there and put it in the done envelope down here, or you could help them if they're a little more advanced. They could build their schedule, and then when they're done with the task, they take it off and put it in the done envelope, and that just helps them realize that I'm done with this and I'm moving on to a different task, and I don't have to be frustrated because I know what's coming. So my 3 kinds of assistive technology for my project were communication devices, raised lines on paper, either printed on the paper or with wiki sticks or pipe cleaners, as well as picture schedules. Thanks.